Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah Goldsmith, and I'm honoured and delighted that my book Masculinity and Danger on the 18th-Century Grand Tour has been shortlisted for the RHS Whitfield Prize. In this video, I'm just going to give a short outline of what my work focuses on. As the title suggests, this is a re-evaluation of the 18th-Century Grand Tour and a type of elite masculinity that it was used to produce. And the re-evaluation is undertaken by examining the role played by danger. The Grand Tour has not only left an enduring legacy on Britain's cultural and architectural landscape, it was also something that was experienced by generations of Britain's aristocratic and gentry men in their youth. When we think of the Grand Tour, certain images often spring to mind. Young elite men learning the polite arts of speaking French and refined manners at the academies in Paris or the Loire region before going on to soak up Italy's classical ruins and Renaissance artwork. My book looks beyond this conventional focus with the intention of opening up how the relationship between the tour and the 18th century elite notions of masculinity were rationalised within the aristocratic and gentry communities themselves, as they articulated them in their unpublished letters and diaries. These archival records show that the scope, the ambition, the routes and the itineraries of the Grand Tour were much more complex, varied and extensive than we currently allow for. We can get some sense of this through Edward Gibbon's late 18th century reflections on what made an ideal Grand Tourist, which he scribbled down in his then unpublished memoirs. He himself had undertaken 2 periods of educational travel during the 1750s and 60s. In his sketch of the ideal, Gibbon believes that a young traveller must attain the practical knowledge of husbandry and manufacture, to be a chemist, a botanist, a master of mechanics. He must develop a musical ear, a dexterous pencil, a correct and exquisite eye that can discern the merits of landscape pictures and buildings, and he must have a flexible temper which can assimilate itself to every tone of society, from the court to the cottage. But what is striking about Gibbon's ideal is that he chose to begin his sketch not by talking about sciences or manufactures or arts or manners or even politics. He started by talking about danger. A Grand Tourist, in his view, needed to have an active, indefatigable vigour of mind and body and a careless smile for the hardships of travel, plus a fearless, restless curiosity that would drive him to encounter the flood, the mountains and the mines in the pursuit of the most doubtful premise of entertainment or instruction. So my book starts the process of exploring some of the under-considered elements of the Grand Tour by examining how the ones that coalesced around encounters with danger, hazard and hardship. Grand Tourists invested hours, days and months in activities that were all united by a frisson of danger. Things like physical exercises, hunting and other hazardous sports, attending live military sites, including battlefields, jolting along in carriages along dangerous roads and inching alongside precipices, alongside scrambling around glaciers, mountains, and even arduously ascending the volcano of Mount Vesuvius. Their letters and diaries show that these hazards were not simply things to be avoided or just to be endured with gritted teeth. Rather, 18th century elite culture was inclined to embrace and utilise danger as a tool for the formation of elite masculinity. Danger was seen as a game, something to be gambled with and perhaps in some circumstances even enjoyed. Now this attitude was rooted in an enduring concept of a military service elite, and it was tied into related notions of honour as something that had to be proved and defended through actions of courage, leadership and prowess. In this context, danger and hardships were opportunities. They were transformative challenges that could either elevate or destroy their physical health, their Britishness, and their budding reputations as hardy martial men of honour, courage and virtue. Understanding what sort of man the Grand Tour was meant to produce is central not only to understanding the Grand Tour itself, but also to the wider study of 18th century masculinity. The Grand Tour was intended to produce polite, refined men in one context, but also was intended to produce hardy men in another. In re-evaluating the Grand Tour through the lens of danger, my book demonstrates that the successful elite man of the 18th century was a man of many different parts, and that elite masculinity hinged less on a particular expression of maleness and more on the core values and virtues of what it meant to belong to the aristocracy and gentry. Crucially, this then leads us back to the core purposes of the Grand Tour itself. Ultimately, the Grand Tour was not primarily about its destinations or its itineraries. As a rite of passage and a major cultural experience that was shared between multiple generations of Britain's ruling class, the Grand Tour was a vital part of this social group's understanding, practice and construction of themselves. The Grand Tour's real principal purpose was the maintenance, reinforcement and demonstration of their power and their privilege. Investigating the full depth, breadth and the complexity of the Grand Tour provides a deeper insight into the complex strategies of self-fashioning that were used to achieve this goal, and the very calculated use of practice, performance, place and narrative within this. Here, the ruins of Rome, the most fashionable Parisian tailoring, the ice of the Chamonix Glacier, and the ashes of Vesuvius all played very important roles. Thank you for your time.